What's up, fam? It's J Logos coming back to you on another episode, and today I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys out there who are going through a situation where you're being sued, or either you got something via email talking about some sort of garnishment, something about a bank levy. Maybe you do have a creditor on your credit report that's knocking on your door, maybe a sheriff that's coming over. And I wanted to go ahead and talk to some of you guys out there that are possibly going through this difficult situation. And I wanted to give you guys a few solutions because right now, more than ever, unfortunately, even after COVID, creditors have gotten more aggressive. They're being more persistent in trying to go ahead and collect from the debtors. In this particular case, you guys out there. So for you guys out there checking the channel for the first time, consider liking, subscribing, comment, and share if you found this information to be educational. Now, I wanted to go ahead and just kind of jump in here because a lot of our customers recently have been getting a lot of, summons, court documents. People are kind of confused. And we're talking about all types of individuals. As a matter of fact, right now, I have a situation with a specific customer that just brought some documentation from the courts. He just received some paperwork, and unfortunately, he's being sued. So, first things first, let's go ahead and address the level of sense of urgency, because right now there is certain levels of urgency that you should have when it comes to a lawsuit. Again, we all take things different, in different situations. Sometimes either we give it a certain level of importance. We might feel that, guess what, there might be some sort of repercussions or some sort of issue if I don't go ahead and address this. So let's go ahead and get into the level of importance. So first things first. If you go ahead and get, some sort of paperwork via email, to me personally, it's not as important as you get something physical. Especially if now you're getting something from the courts, and now you're getting something that's coming from an attorney's office. It has physical, tangible, somebody actually came to your house. It's not the same certain level of importance if you go ahead and get something via email. Maybe you went ahead and even got a letter. So if you went ahead and got a letter, the letter's not certified, it's a regular type letter. It might be even a letter that somebody's actually phishing. So there's a lot of attorneys that tend to go ahead and send a lot of propaganda to people. It might not mean that you're either going through a garnishment, you're going through some sort of bank levy, they're gonna put a lien on your property. But guess what? There might be a case out there, or somebody's building a case against you. So it is important for you to go ahead and, be aware of it. But again, too, one of the first things that I always go ahead and recommend to every single person is it on your credit report? Because that's one of the first things that you want to go ahead and find out, to find out the legitimacy of the situation. Again, this is a situation where I've ran into in the past with certain customers where I got into a conversation with this collection company or this supposedly attorney's law firm, and I ended up making some payments, and then I come to find out that they were not legit. So if you don't want to run into that situation, what's one of the best things to go ahead and find out? First things first, go into your credit report, get access to your credit monitoring, Identity IQ, Credit Check Total, MyFICO. Why? Because there you're going to be able to go ahead and pull all three. You're going to see everything, and you might be able to go ahead and find that creditor. It could either come from the form of a collection company, an original creditor like American Express, Discover, or it might come already from the courts. If you have an attorney's law firm that's suing you, you're not going to see them on the report. What you will see is the original creditor. In this particular case, we're looking at JP Morgan Chase, and they went ahead and hired a local attorney's firm, which in this particular case is Jonathan Singer as ESQ, which is normally what they do. They go ahead and assign local law firms in people's regions, and then that's how they go ahead and try to sue the individual. So you might not see the law firm on there, but you could go ahead and see if that's an original debt that you have. That's first things first, because you want to make sure that if this is mine, guess what? I'm going to have to address it. Now, what level of importance does it have? Because if I now go ahead and get just a letter and the letter's not certified, then to me, honestly, they might not even have invested a lot of energy or a lot of money behind this lawsuit. So most likely, guess what? They don't know if I have a job, they know if, and things of that nature. Maybe they know that I have a checking account, or maybe they don't know I have a checking account. And I'll go into more additional videos in the future of how things that you could go ahead and protect yourself when it comes to these type of things. But at the end, guys, what you want to go ahead and do is make sure that you're checking if the information is legit. Now, I did talk to a customer recently where we've been disputing for the last couple of months. We've had massive success. As a matter of fact, most of the negative, with the exception of one, has been deleted. But now there's two things in credit. We have the financial aspect of it, which is really what concerns people, and we also have the information. When we go ahead and challenge the information on the report, we're deleting the data under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? It goes back into if it's verifiable, accurate, and complete. If it is not, it has to be deleted or corrected. So if we were successful in getting the account deleted, it doesn't mean that the balance just fizzled out. So in this particular case, the creditor might want to go ahead and sue the individual, and this is where that's why I'm creating this video. Because if that's what's going on in this particular case, we want to give it the level of importance. Now, what are your options when you're going through a lawsuit? You validate that the information is legit, or maybe you do receive physical paperwork and you make the phone call. Because you can literally go ahead and make the phone call. If you get court documents, you get an attorney's office, there's some contact information on there. Find out exactly what's going on. Now, what are your options? And I always tell this to people. The first thing that we want to do is have an open line of communication. If you do nothing, guys, they're going to go to court. They're going to give the judgment to the creditor if you're not able to go ahead and represent yourself. So in this particular case, either have some sort of representation, contact the consumer attorney, contact us here at BWS, where we could go ahead and help you guys to be able to negotiate this. You're going to have a lot more leverage before it goes into the court process, because first off, they're going to save time, they're going to save energy, they're saving money. I've had a lot of success when I go into my negotiations and not having to extend this to drag this over and go into the courts, because by then, guess what? Now you're going into the full gamut of it. Now you're getting the judge involved, and guess what? That company might want the full compensation. So if you owe $3,000 at that present time, if you're not able to represent yourself correctly, you don't have supporting documentation, you didn't bring your bank statements for the last 6 months showing the judge that, guess what, I might not have the means, you haven't had a job, maybe you don't have, you possibly filed taxes last year, but you didn't file enough, you're the head of household, you're going through a hardship, and if you don't have any evidential proof, guess what's going to happen? They're going to give the judgment to the creditor. And that creditor is going to want to take everything, guys. And in this particular case, they're going for the full amount. So suggestively, let's catch them before. Especially if you've done the disputes or you've hired us, where now we've actually deleted the account, which is what's happening to our customer. Now I got leverage. Why? Because I've done the homework. We found the violation. We found the time restraint, statute of limitations. We're going to go now into the detail. And now we're going to help them to get and pay pennies on the dollars in this total account. Again, guys, look at the level of sense of urgency. If you get a letter, it's not certified. If you get an email, it's not as important. But now if you get physical documentation, you get a court order, you get a summon, a person came to your house, knocked on your door. Again, it's what I tell everybody. Don't agree that that's you. Don't voluntary any information. Again, you don't have to voluntary any kind of information. But again, do the best that you can to research, and if you need any kind of assistance, talk to us. We're here to help, and thank you so much for the love and support. Until the next time, guys.